The mortality rate in all the expeditions of our prophet, look at this number, please. Put up that on the screen. Look at that number. 1 out of 6,000. It's 0.6% of people died in these battles. 0.6%. Do you understand what that means? These people were coming together, a few people were killed, and they stopped fighting. That's what happened. They weren't slaughtering people. Now you look, our prophet's life, the entire 23 years, 0.6% of people died who fought. This is the actual combatants. In the Battle of Saratoga, Americans and British, 2.5. The Battle of Antietam in the Civil War, 3.2. Gettysburg, almost 5% of the people. Normandy landing, almost 20%. This is one battle. Almost 20% of the people that landed on the Normandy beach died. In our prophet's time, 1 out of every 6,000. It's just an incredible statistic. So is the Islamic civilization more violent than other civilizations? This is a question. Now let's look at the death toll. And these are taken from Western historians, all right? These numbers. The Christian civilization has been the single most violent civilization on this planet. Although, to be fair to them, if you read Kavanaugh's book, The Myth of Religious Violence, which is a very important book. William Kavanaugh wrote a book called The Myth of Religious Violence. There are estimated to be about 1,763 wars that historians have determined. Out of those, only 7% were fought for religious reasons. It's estimated that only 2% of anyone who's ever died in a war died in a religious war. This whole secular mythology about religion being the cause of war and violence is a complete myth. It's a lie to make religion look bad, and it's done by demonic people who want to destroy religion on this planet. And you can look at this, and people can differ, like Al-Mutanabbi said, وَالْخُلْفُ فِي الشَّجَبِ. They can differ. You can say, oh, he's just making that up. It's all rubbish. No, these are historians. This is from my own readings of reading historians that are well respected. Anti-theist, 125 million. The Cynic, 108. And this is the Buddhist tradition, which is the next one, because Buddhists have the best PR on this planet. Buddhism, if you study the history of Buddhism, it was a violent religion. You can read the Claws of the Buddha about the violence of the Buddhists in Japan. The Buddhists where do you think all those, those martial arts come from? Where do you think all that comes from? It comes from Buddhist monks, the Shaolin temple, where they were all learning the cat and the dog and the crane, right? That's a reality. Why? Well, they have holy war as well. They have this idea of protecting the weak, but they also were very cruel sometimes. For instance, when they recaptured Afghanistan, after the Muslim collapse, because of the Abbasid takeover of the Umayyad dynasty, when they got back to Herat, which was a great shrine of the Buddhists, they massacred the Buddhists that converted to Islam. And that's historical fact. So, and then primal religions are these Aboriginal religions. The Islamic is 32%. The least violent religion, and Hindus should be proud of this, despite the fact that their book is based on a war. The Bhagavad Gita is about a war. They historically have been the least violent of all the religions. But Islam is the second. If you remove Timur-Lenk, Timur-Lane? If you take him out, 17 million gets taken out of that equation, because Timur-Lenk was the grandson of Genghis Khan. And he still had that Mughal blood in him. He had that Mongolian blood. He hadn't fully adopted the Iranic state of the Muslims, and he slaughtered a lot of people. But without Timur-Lenk, it's 5%, right? So